enough, Nikki. How's that
It's
voice?
better. It's better.
Our guest Jordan had a really sexy sounding voice on his mic, and I had to one up his game. I don't think I did it justice. But Jordan, how you doing, man?
I-
Oh, see, now he's cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out. You moved it. Blew up the intro of how sexy your voice sounded. Now we can't hear you at all. You're unplugged somehow. That's all right. Nikki can hear me. How do I sound,
I
Nikki?
can hear you.
That's all that
I was just
matters.
going to let this play out, just see how it all went down.
You know me, it's all about how I feel about how I sound. So that's all that matters.
So, sorry. Oh, yes.
Should be back.
Oh,
Welcome
yes.
back.
Welcome back.
Fucking amateur hour in here. I apologize. You guys just want to I don't know, maybe call Dale King and just have him fill in for the rest of the
Paul Trimley. We'll get all the affiliate guys in here. It'd be great. Listen, if we wanted to get great audio, we would not start with Dale. As much as I love Dale, he'd be calling in from West Virginia. And that's the one thing you don't get in West Virginia is excellent internet connection. So good for him, though. How you been, man?
I've been doing pretty well. Busy. It ebbs and flows. You guys are pretty hip to the CrossFit space. There's a lot going on and a lot changing. And HQ is trying to do a ton to serve the affiliates, serve the competitors, right? It's a lot all the time. I'm finding. I dig it.
CrossFit
I like who I work with.
I had no idea. No clue.
I know we're pretty good at HQ at keeping it under wraps. It's smooth sailing all the time. Streamlined operations, top to bottom, buttoned up 100%. It's kind of how we roll. And so I know it just really shakes people up when they find out that there's, any bumps in the road, so to speak.
Yeah, no, of course. I feel the same way about the broadcast. So easy all the time, so smooth, no humps at all to get over, and it's always perfect, really.
Yeah, so you guys totally get it. You totally get it.
Yeah, totally.
Jordan, give our listeners some background. So I ran into Jordan in where were we, dude? Where were we?
Columbus, I think.
Columbus, Ohio. And I ran into Jordan like everyone else. He's like, "Oh my God, I love you so much, Wooly. You're my idol." And that's how we became friends. Just immediate friends. And I'm like, "Yeah, come on the show." And he blew me off for Disneyland last week, and now here he is. So
I did. I apologize for that. Although my kids are grateful.
Tell everyone what you do for CrossFit, though. You got a big job over there.
Yeah, so I am the Western Regional Manager, which means I work alongside Paul Tremblay in the East, and we both report to Austin Malleolo, so some OGs on the team. And I support affiliates west of the Mississippi. This could be anything from just answering some basic questions. I get some easy, kind of hitting off the tee stuff to harder, more complicated things, but really trying to help affiliates find, in my words, personal and professional success. How do you as an affiliate owner? Most of us, I own a gym as well. It'll be 15 years in September. And most of us, we got into it because we love it, right? And that box gets checked every single day. But for some people, they're working too many hours, or they're not making enough money, or both, or they, have staffing issues, or learning to be a manager. And so our goal on this team is to help shore that up as much as possible. Some of that comes from tools like the playbook or roundtables. Some of it comes from just in-person conversations, the affiliate summits. We do welcome webinars now with new affiliates, help them get up to speed on what CrossFit offers to them. And really, how do we help them be better business people, which then gives them the space to just be great people, right? This community is full of great people who sometimes get burned out because they are burning the candle at both ends. And so we're trying to help shore that up.
You just describe my life, and I think Nikki's too, because she's been working her ass off for the last 2 weeks for CrossFit, I might add.
No, I know.
Nikki,
you guys seem to be everywhere doing everything, like multiple podcasts all the time. She's reporting at every event and writing stuff, and I got to meet the little baby just recently in Knoxville.
It was so fun.
I have to admit, I'm a little jealous that you met the baby before I did. I'm not.
You have not met this child, this beautiful child?
No, that's why I'm so jealous. Like, this is like my godchild. I've seen this baby
truly
from its first breath, and I get photos like almost daily, and I've not met the baby yet. And
it's a good looking baby, which is nice, right? It's so nice to meet attractive babies, because every once in a while you meet one and you're just like, I don't know what to say. Nice shoes?
No. And you guys, Matt and I were fugly children. Like, it was bad. When I first found out I was pregnant, I was like, I'm pregnant. And oh my God, it's going to be so hideous. Like, we were both just like not cute until we were, I don't know, like 6-8 months And I'm like, I'm just being real, not being harsh, not being funny, just very real. So when he was born and he was like actually okay looking, we were like, oh, thank God.
Have you ever met an ugly baby, like a really truly ugly baby, and had to pretend they were cute? Because I have, and it's hard.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so hard.
But I've definitely called the baby ugly. Like, I don't think to their parent, like in company, right? You're somewhere and you're like, the baby's ugly, right? And everyone's like, yeah, that's an ugly baby.
Yeah.
Let's not sugarcoat it.
In general, I feel like all babies look like aliens when they're born. Like they look like just sad old men. But like usually they get cute around like 4 or 5 months. So I feel like we're in the clear right now. Like he's cute. We're good. He's cute. We're good. Yeah.
Well,
speaking of cuteness, I made it real uncomfortable real fast when I met Nikki and her family.
Can we please
this, John. Her husband is so beautiful.
He's a good man.
A handsome fucking man.
He is.
Totally.
Like, what? And I told him too, I'm like, look, man, I'm not even usually into ginger dudes, and everything is working here for me right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, what happened was you told me, but in front of him.
Yes.
You were like, Matt, this is cool, right? Nikki, your husband is a beautiful man. And he's
just
like,
so handsome.
But this is what happened is like, he looks like, oh, thanks, whatever. And then you walk away and he's like, oh my God, did you hear what he said about me? I'm like, yeah.
No,
yeah,
I was on handsome overload because I had just run into Rory McKernan, who arguably one of the most beautiful people. And then to run into Matt, like it was just
most handsome man in CrossFit, 100%.
Well, and Matt was playing it up. So he strategically was down by the cameras with the baby strapped in front. So every time the cameras would go to the exit, there's Matt standing up with Nikki's beautiful baby and showing off his ginger hair. I'm like, bro, seriously.
No, he was working the angles. He was definitely working the angles.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's so funny because I feel like Matt, like, he doesn't like legitimately think that, I don't know, that like I do any real work. I feel like he gets like, I've been working for the CrossFit broadcast for like 8 or 9 years, like almost a decade. Right. And like, we've been doing this podcast, John, you and I, for a long time. Has it been like 4 years or something?
About 3, but
3, sure. So like, I've been around doing things. I have like a couple Instagram followers. Like I'm not the most famous person, don't get me wrong, but like I feel like Matt like forgets that I like legitimately work because we go to events and people are like, oh hey, like you're Nikki. You're like, oh hey, this is your baby. And he's like, people know you? I'm like, yeah, come on.
I'm a thing, bro. Get it together.
It's not like that, but it's like I'm not gonna walk through the grocery store and people are gonna know who I am. But if I'm at a CrossFit event and you're holding my baby, people are gonna know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh wait, can I tell a really like my head is huge right now story?
Yes, that's why we're here.
Absolutely.
We got together.
Okay, so oh my God. We were walking around Vendor Village in one of the like 2 5-minute breaks I had all weekend. I got to like see the light of day for a minute. And we walked by a booth that was manned by Camille and her husband, Dave Lipson. And they were doing like Thunder Bros and Feroz stuff. And it was cool. And Dave was like showing people how to pose and like show off their muscles or whatever. And I was just chatting with Camille about mom stuff. And it was really fun. Their baby was there and she's so cute. And a girl comes up to us and she's like, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you mind if I get a picture? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. Like, give me your camera and come stand over here and I'll take a picture of you and Camille. And she was like, no, with you.
Yes.
And I was like, oh.
You're like, Camille, can you hold this camera, please?
Yes.
Wait, are you fucking serious right now? And she was like, yeah, you have my favorite podcast. And I was like, are you sure you don't want a photo with this like CrossFit Games champion?
Yes.
Like, are you sure that is not what you want?
I love everything about it. I love everything about this story.
I felt like my face, like my skin was like melting off of my face. I was like elated, but also like embarrassed. And I was like, didn't look over at Camille because I was like, oh my God, don't hate me for this moment. I'm so sorry.
Hey, you have a following, Nikki. You have a big following.
Yeah, there's like 5 people who know who I am.
No. You have a very passionate following. I'm not trying to blow your head up, so don't get all like egotistical. That's my job. But
you got fans. You got real fans. And in fact, like, I'm gonna let you know, if I'm there for an experience like that, I'm going to pour gas on that fire. Like just things like, oh, your ship has sailed.
I did not like relish in the moment the way that I should have because it was a little bit awkward. But no, you are right in that like I do have a small following and I feel really lucky that like I think the people who are like on my pages or following my content are there like legitimately because they want to, because I don't get a lot of the same bullshit that a lot of other people get in terms of like the internet is a hot garbage fire. So it is nice because I do like have like meaningful conversations with people like in comments and DMs about life and CrossFit and especially mom stuff. It's been really cool the last year for sure.
Here are the followers I think you have. Correct me if I'm wrong. Moms that say fuck a lot.
Yes,
I think
accurate.
that's one. I
Fuck
think
yeah.
you have a lot of those. No, I think you do have a lot of moms that
Yeah.
are like intrigued by your most recent journey. I think
Yep.
you have a lot of followers that respect what you do on the air with the athletes.
Yeah. Fair.
You have followers that are probably connected because they love those athletes and they see you having access, and so they want access to you, which is part of the game.
Oh, they're
Right?
gonna be real disappointed to find out I don't have actual access to those athletes.
No. I don't mean to like get.
You might not be
access to
brunching, but like you're shoulder to shoulder. Like
Yeah.
you're up on the stage. Like
I get
you
sweat
get to
on a
stand next to
lot.
them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their
And ask them
shoulder sweats
questions.
on my shoulder often. That's true.
Yeah, they like you've had the experience. They just want to be near the experience. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's
that's a
fair.
real thing. It's a
That's
very,
fair.
very real thing.
It's fair because I do usually get a lot more followers like around event time, and then like a week later when they realize I just post pictures of like my baby
The
and my
noise.
shitty lifts at the
Yeah.
gym, they're like, "Oh, unfollow."
And then you have the foot perfs. Those are all your
For
followers. That's
sure,
right.
the foot.
All
You
of
know,
them.
if I just up my foot game a tiny bit, I bet I could make us some cash because the
You-
foot pervs are coming out of the woodwork for sure.
You absolutely could.
Mm.
You could absolutely up it.
Mm. Do you have
Well,
foot pervs? Do you guys have foot pervs?
no, I don't. I
Like,
can't.
am I a foot perv? Or are you saying do I know any?
I think
I'm
just wanna know
asking if you have any.
People want to see pictures of your feet.
Oh, I've never been asked. I don't have nice feet though. Like
Sometimes it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
okay. I mean, I would totally indulge a foot perv. Like, is there money in it?
There's
a lot of money
absolutely
in
is
it,
money in it.
apparently.
Yes, there's so much money in it.
I
Which is
would
why
100%.
Same. Which is why I'm gonna adopt the Danny Spiegel method of the next time someone slides into my DMs and they're like, "Hey, will you send me a picture of your feet?" I'll be like, "My Venmo is at Nikki Brazier, $500. You can have all the foot pics you want. I don't give a shit."
Yeah, I would 100%.
100.
I would put my feet in things. I would do things with my feet.
Ooh, open invitation.
I would rub my feet on other people's feet for money.
Here, you want me to throw your screen name up on the screen so everyone can
John,
put
I
your
think
Venmo up there.
I think you need to be his what did you call it? His perv manager?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
going to be a perv manager for everyone and just take 10% of everyone's foot money. It's going to be great.
Hey, you deserve it. That's money well earned.
So
I need that toe spacer sponsorship so that I have an excuse.
So do I. So Jordan, what were you doing at the MAC? Were you there at the affiliate group?
Yeah, I was there just representing the affiliate side of the organization. Right, as you guys know, right, CrossFit's got the sport side, the gym's the affiliate side, and the EDU side. And so affiliates and EDU work together at a lot of these events. So they were doing the seminars team, had folks out there doing snatch demos and little like kind of teasers for the level 1, level 2. And then the affiliate reps were there, like some US reps were there, some of the affiliate support team who really are just like on the end of this anonymous email. So it's really fun for them to get out. Sometimes they'll meet people that they engage with, right? All the billion questions that go to affiliate support at CrossFit.com. There's people on the other end of that, but they never get seen, right? They're just all day in their room answering emails. And so it's kind of fun sometimes to get out and like, oh, I get to have face-to-face conversations with the folks that I'm supporting. So yeah, just out there spreading the love, trying to be present and engaged.
And like the cutest little kid activations. That
oh my
was
gosh.
adorable.
Yeah. The kid demos were fantastic. They murdered that. Amy and Steve were just amazing with those kids. It was like cuteness overload, the burpees and the high fives and the cartwheels and stuff.
Loved it.
Yeah, I love the fact you guys are coming or at these events now. I mean, I saw you guys at the Arnold, we're clearly going to, semis events, Wadapalooza. You guys had a tent there. Like you're just, showing up at these things. I'm curious on so many things. Are people able to separate the great work you guys are doing with the affiliates and kind of all the drama of what goes on at these sporting events? Or do you guys catch hell at all when they're coming by?
I'd say that's 99% positive. Every once in a while you get somebody who, and even, I'm going to say, yeah, I'd say 99%. And there's some challenging questions, right? I mean, I think folks took certain things that have happened in the past very, very personally. Like Dave getting let go from CrossFit was super personal. And it was that same week, the CEO of Peloton and Southwest Airlines both, like, the Peloton guy actually did have the same transition as Eric, right, into the chairman of the board, and the CEO of Southwest was just replaced. Like, nobody Southwest customers were like calling customer service being like, you owe me an explanation.
Right.
But like CrossFit's unique in that way. I mean, you got, Joe from Des Moines who did the Open one time in 2012 and feels connected personally to Dave Castro because he watched the live announcement. That's important and special. And I genuinely believe that some important learning happened from that, right? Like, because you got some people in the organization, right? From like, whether it be, the word escapes me, right? The board, directors at Berkshire, right? They're not like, there's no sugarcoating it. They're not CrossFitters.
Right.
But they're business people. CrossFit is a business. And so there's a place for business people. But I think it was such a shitty day, such a shitty week, months. It was just, it still sucks in some ways. That being said, I think there was some powerful learning on the parts of folks who didn't get it, who were like, oh, this stuff runs deep. This community is strong and connected and global and passionate with a long history and a long memory. That there was some important stuff that Dave contributed to this community over, I mean, almost 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. And so you get folks who want to just sometimes unpack that. And I would still call that positive. They might want to just have a conversation and hear, right? That like, yeah, it mattered to me too.
Yeah.
Like I know Dave. I've been like, I haven't seen Dave in a couple of years, but the last time was at the ranch shooting guns. Like we, Boz and I and a few other friends went out there, and he just opened it up to us, and like we shot and hung out, and it was fantastic. Dave's a good dude. People who are still heard about Greg, and Greg's a complicated guy, and I'm, there's no denying. You'd have one conversation with Greg, and you're like, you are brilliant and fucking complicated.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
That's a perfect way of putting it.
And so. And just to know, right, like that the ethos is still there. Like, yes, this is a big corporation with hundreds of employees and millions of dollars in play, but that the ethos still rings true across this organization. And so, like, let's take the games department. There are still decades and decades and decades of experience on that team. Like the team that helped make that happen, Adrian and Eubanks and Johnny Mack and Wilson. Oh my God. I mean, like,
oh my God,
incredible infrastructure. Like the games are still going to be great.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different and it's going to be awesome. And like, there's no buts in that, right? It's just, and. Yeah. So I'm excited for that. And I think that's true of every part of the company. We just had an offsite in Boulder a couple of weeks ago, and I was blown away. I cannot even articulate effectively how many brilliant and kind and talented people work for this company with years of experience. Like, I bet you guys didn't know that I've owned an affiliate for almost 15 years, that I competed at the CrossFit Games in 2008 and 2009, that I was a US rep, that I hosted an event in Seattle called the Cascade Classic for 8 years, where we had hundreds and hundreds of athletes come through. Like, I've done a lot of stuff in this space, and this company and this community is full of those people.
Yeah.
Full of it. I mean, like I said, my East Coast counterpart, Paul Tremblay, like the strongest man in Canada.
Right.
13th in the semifinals while still doing his full-time job for CrossFit.
That's insane to me. That's crazy.
And insane. I just found out this morning, he's got a torn ligament in his wrist.
What?
That was him like just trying to keep the wheels on. Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
13th place in the world.
Human.
And basically a broken arm. Like, what is that?
Unreal.
And can we just take a moment to celebrate how badly Paul beat Austin in the semifinals?
I think that's worth some time. I think we should.
Make a public statement about that. All right, that's good. As long as we just put that out there in the world.
I think that actually might become the title of the podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah. Paul Tremblay is fitter than Austin Malleolo.
I don't know why we shouldn't. It makes sense to me.
I feel like I'm really glad. First of all, I couldn't agree more with everything that you've said, and every one that you've named. All those people are like, they've blown me away year over year in how well they do their jobs on the game side of things, on the operation side of things, but then also like how much nobody lets anything fall through the cracks. People are stepping into each other's roles and supporting each other, and like it's just I don't think people on the outside of the bubble really understand the level of dedication and effort and work and professionalism that goes into putting the games on. And I see it behind the scenes every year, so it's amazing. But I am really glad that you said that it was nice to come out and have these two-way conversations with people, and that you've, I don't know, like all the things you've gleaned from the learnings on the outside coming in, being like, oh, yes, this is a really unique opportunity or a really unique organization in that people care so much from the bottom up. And I just hope that the people who are having those conversations with you are also learning on the outside in, because I feel like John and I had a ton of conversations, like when Dave was let go, where I was like, said the same thing. I was like, what other company do you ever feel like you get to like write on their social media or like send an email being like, fuck you, this is not what I want? Like that doesn't exist. And so I feel like us as a community also need to have a little bit more of an understanding that this is a business and an organization. And it's not just your buddy that you like lifted with yesterday and had a bro sesh with, and now he's like gone, or like you follow him on Instagram so you know him personally. Like I do love that intimacy in our organization, and I don't think it should go away. But I do think that our community needs a greater understanding of like, you don't get a say in how this business is run because it's a business. You know what I mean? There has to
No,
be.
I totally agree with you, but I don't think it's just that it's I think that's something about social media. I just finished a book today called Reclaiming Conversation, and that people don't talk face to face anymore.
Yeah.
They don't talk enough anymore. They'd rather send a text or send an email. And when you do that, you're removed from the intimate ramifications of your words and the impact they have on those people. Right. I think it's Mike Tyson says, like, you wouldn't say the stuff you say on social media if you knew you could get punched in the face.
No shit. Yeah.
And like, I don't know if you saw, I don't know why. Oh, I followed Rosa, and he posted like him and his kids and playing in the snow. And the shit because it was like post, Dave.
I saw this. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like painful stuff. Like on this dude, he's just saying, hey, having fun with my kids in the snow, and just brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So I do hope, I don't know how, but that folks will take a beat on anything, right? Whether it be how they talk to women online, how they address a company online, how they address, their dissatisfaction with anything. Right. I think about my kids being out in the world of social, like they don't have social media yet. They're only 8 and 10, but they're going to be out there someday. And I hope that they engage respectfully, and I hope people respectfully engage with them.
I don't know if that's ever coming back though. I mean,
no.
It's a weird space that we're in. Like, I mean, you said it best, we've got all these passionate CrossFitters that feel like they own the business and they have a voice in the business. I think part of the problem is there's a small minority of people that are really pissed off about a number of things. And I'm not discounting their right to be upset. I mean, I think, CrossFit, just, the games team is probably most notable for having a lot of snafus lately. It's the nicest way I can put it, right? Like some, just communication's been weird. And they're struggling to separate that from CrossFit the business and CrossFit the affiliate that's saving lives. They're just kind of viewing this whole thing as like, it's all screwed up. Well, this small minority is blowing up social media. And the problem is those of us that are reasonable, and yes, I'm throwing myself in the reasonable camp, whatever that's worth, aren't shouting back.
That's right. You're right.
I think the problem is that shouting back, I think I have learned that shouting back isn't super impactful.
No, it's not.
Well, their capacity to get louder and more aggressive, or there's a place you won't go online, and the line for some folks doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but I guess, because I'm not advocating that the reasonable people start fighting online, but I'm saying people do have to start getting involved in some areas. And so what I hope they have, like, as an example, the game sold out really quick. I hope it sold out to all the reasonable people.
Yeah.
Follow what I'm saying? Like, I hope the people that love CrossFit start signing up for the open and start doing the open.
Have either of you, I'm curious, had a conversation with a person who starts out angry and they're still angry when they're done talking to you about CrossFit? That they come to you angry and they leave angry? Because I haven't.
No.
And I watched, so I've known the Bosmans for quite a while. And before I went to Knoxville, I stayed with them at their house for a couple of days, come out, and I watched Adrian have conversations with person after person when you could see them coming in hot.
Right.
You could see them coming in hot, but they didn't leave that way. And the conversations when they're in person are so much different.
So different. Yeah.
And he and anybody else, I watched him have conversations in person. I watched Justin have conversations in person. I saw people come up to seminar staff members about things that they felt weren't the way they should be. And once they had that conversation in person, face to face, like they left in a different space. And that's one of the reasons why, the company's trying to get out there more, why we show up to more events.
Yeah. And that's why everyone should read that book that you just mentioned, because I am like terrified of raising a child in like the digital era where like I just see kids now, like, I don't know, like they text each other in the same room. Like my nieces do this. You know what I mean? Like they've lost a fundamental ability to communicate, and the beauty of words is gone. It's gone. And they're like, now they're just weird. Now they're like weird, awkward kids. It's awkward enough.
I'll give you cliff notes. So 3 things. So thing number 1, you and your husband got to set the example at the house for your kids.
100%.
Like you got to turn it off. Number 2, literary fiction, turns out, is one of the top builders of empathy in children and adults. And so reading to them and then having them read it, literary fiction, because of character development and engagement with like emotions and responses to reaction, and like across multiple studies over a long period of time.
Well, we are a Harry Potter house, so that will be perfect.
Yeah. And then expand but Jane Austen, whether you like it or not, like super powerful stuff.
Sure.
So all the classics, get your kids and yourselves into the classics. And then the last thing, public confrontation. I don't mean like public out in the streets. I mean like you and your husband having confrontation in front of each other, in front of the kids, because then they get to see the arc of that. Because they see you fight but not make up, or they see you make up but not have the fight. Then like let the whole story play out publicly. Because that thing happens, right? You guys fight, you guys make up, you guys are still friends and in love.
Yeah.
And they'll learn like that's okay, right? Anyway, some of the takeaways from I read 2 books, one Reclaiming Conversation, another one called Unselfie, which I highly recommend both. Talking a lot about children's development and how to raise kids with empathy and good communicators.
So I'm going to have to stop being such a vindictive bitch.
Good luck with that.
No. Don't stop doing that. And in fact, this is where the language matters, right? I want you to rephrase that as an assertive heroine.
Well, I mean,
there you go.
I do have
an assertive heroine who might stab you. How about that?
I just feel like maybe I should tone it down a little because I win every fight.
No. So I have 2 responses to that. One from myself, which is championing you, and then one from my mother who would disagree with you. And so the one where I'm championing your cause is think of did you see John Wick?
Yeah.
Right. Right. John Wick 1 murders 100 people, then 200, then 300, 450 by the end. Nobody thinks John Wick is such a bitch because he got upset about his dog.
It's true.
What a badass. Right? His dog gets killed. He kills 800 people. And we think, what a fucking badass. So I want you to reframe your vindictive bitch into what a fucking badass, right? I want you to channel more John Wick and less of whatever it is that you are channeling right now. That's what I would say to you.
I think we should invite Matt to this conversation. And then I think he's going to be like, yeah, no.
I'll tell you what my mother told me, because I like to win as well. And she would say to you, Nikki, do you want to be right or do you want to get along? And I frequently chose wrong, but I keep having to remind myself.
One of my old bosses at a company I worked for years ago, she used to say, whoever cares more wins. Like if you're really into it and you're really fighting, you're usually by the end, you're not fighting about the thing anymore. You just don't want to be wrong. You don't want to be the one who gives in. So she would always say, like, to really boil it down to which one of you honestly gives a shit about the thing and which one of you just wants to be wrong. And if you really give a shit about the thing, then let that person win.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But what do you do? Because I feel like you and I have this in common. What if you're not ever wrong? Like it's a cross to bear.
It is.
It's a hard cross. I suffer with that daily.
It's tough. It's tough. And I'm like, because I'm a communicator, as are the 3 of us on this call, it's really difficult. I don't know how this turned into my therapy session, my personal therapy session, but because we're communicators, I feel like it's real easy to twist whatever argument and, use the power of language and communication to be like, no, but see how you were the wrong one here and here and here and here and here and here forever.
Yeah.
So I think it's a powerful tool we need to like choose wisely when to use.
How often do you win an argument that you shouldn't have won?
Every time.
Okay. And how good are you at apologizing, and then subsequently also asking for forgiveness. That's something that we like talk about at our house a lot.
Ooh, I don't think I've ever asked for forgiveness.
Yeah, it's a powerful piece.
I do the I said I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah, but you so with my kids and here in the house, what the rules are, if you've offended somebody, you start with the apology. So I say, I'm sorry. And then you have to state what you did. And then you have to state why you did it. I'm sorry for that let's just use little ones, that I took your thing and I hit you. Yeah. I did it because, would you please forgive me? And then the person has to respond. They don't actually have to. And if they say no, they have to put some kind of time on it. So I'm not ready to do that yet.
Yeah.
But I accept your apology.
I love it.
But yeah, that piece of stating the thing that I did. So I know, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. I said, I'm sorry for what?
That's right.
Well, Matt, I'm sorry that I spoke to you in that way in public when I know that, shame is something that as a man is problematic. You felt disrespected. Please, that adding that extra piece, please forgive me, right? It takes you to a place as the offender, to a place of humility, where it's tough for another person to not accept that level of humility. Anyway, we're getting way off.
Yeah, way off. But I'm learning. I'm yes, that's amazing because it diffuses the situation. I'm into that.
Well, I think it's not that far off topic. I mean, the topic at hand was communication coming from CrossFit. You guys showing up to the MAC and Syndicate, and I'm assuming the other semis, so you guys can talk to people. I think is really spectacular and does, to your point, gives you a chance to have that kind of that personal touch and interaction. Because anyone that's ever met Boz, for instance, if you leave talking with Boz angry, you're an idiot, because that is the nicest dude that's ever walked the planet. I love that. I've met him once and immediately was dude, I love you. You're awesome. Right. Just nice guy. But I guess the question for me is how do you guys spread that out? That's part of what we're trying to do here, is to bring more, people in your role onto the show to talk about the great work you're doing so we can get the word out quicker. But what's CrossFit's vision for messaging to affiliates and to, dumbasses like me that want to know what's going on?
Yeah. So every department is feverishly working on how to get, because they're all doing cool stuff, right? The education department is doing amazing things. Brilliance, top to bottom, right? You guys know plenty of L1 seminar staff. Yeah. Amazing. And then all the way up to Nicole Carroll, right? Who's not on the Nicole Carroll train? And that's in one department, right? Games top to bottom, awesome. Affiliate team top to bottom, legitimately awesome, right? Leading that team is Gary Gaines. You guys have both met Gary, right?
I know Gary. Yeah, he's great.
The real deal.
Mm-hmm.
That wonderful dance between business guy and real CrossFit guy.
For real. Yeah, he's a perfect example.
I am stoked about that guy. And so each department in the company is feverishly working how, but the challenge being CrossFit went a really long time without really communicating at all, right?
Yeah.
Minus oh, your fees are due, your insurance is up, the open's happening. And so now it's swung really hard in the other direction, and we're trying to figure out okay, what's the right way? What's the right dose? Because a lot of stuff goes out and a lot of stuff doesn't get noticed because there's so many things going out from so many places. And then there's so many channels to do it on. So this is fun. The reason I brought up Dale, I just had listened to the episode of your thing with Dale on it. So I knew he was a friend of yours. And right, people like Dale getting to speak up, and the other reps and other people going on things to get to share what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, what their plans are for the future. You could just hit HQ staff and spend a year interviewing talented person after talented person across the company. So back to your point though, going to events is one of the things, and trying to be at all the places, somebody everywhere, right? So last week I was at, Syndicate. And then the day I left, 3 more people came in. So then Austin and Paul and a couple of people on my team flew in. New support staff came in, and they were there for a week. I'll be at Granite Games. Paul will be at the Atlas Games. We're trying to hit all the things and just to be there in person as much as possible. And even the affiliate summits that the US reps put on, there's somebody from our team at every one of those as well, who's there to just be present, answer questions, engage, have face-to-face conversations, and nothing's off limits. The first one we did, I was any questions? We finished the questions. And then afterward, I got 10 more side questions. What's the deal with this? I'm nothing. There's no, just ask it. I'm not scared of anything. Bring it on. We are more than happy to engage. So those are some of the things that are happening, and then hopefully growing that, adding people to the team. So there's just more to go around.
What is access look like? Because I'm hearing you talk about all these things and I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know. I coach at an affiliate. I don't know if my gym owner knows like how to get in touch with Paul. You know what I mean? Like, what is access like? And for people who are listening who might be like, oh, I don't know if we know about these resources. Like, what can they do to really find out, get in touch, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So I encourage everyone, literally everyone, to email paul.tremblay, TREMBLAY at CrossFit.com.
I'll put that on the screen too.
Right now. And just anything you got. I mean, if it's CrossFit related, if you just want recipes on waffles.
Here, what's the cell phone number? I'll put that up too. We can all start texting.
But in all seriousness, so one of the things that is done, so at least in the North America, right? So Paul runs Canada, Tefi Escudero runs Latin America or Mexico and part of Latin America. And then in the US, it's broken into 15 districts. Each has a rep. Right. And every month they send out a newsletter with an open invitation, hey, hit me up. And then what Paul and the people on our team do is we send out what we call birthday emails. So a couple weeks before your anniversary, just hey, congrats on your anniversary. It's been this many years, blah, blah, blah. And here's a link to set up time for us to chat face to face. And I'd say if I send out 50, maybe 5 people take me up on it, maybe 10. And of those, a third of them are shocked when I'm I get on the Zoom and they're like, oh, they had no plan. They're just I'm I never got an option to talk to somebody before. I just wanted to see what would happen. Yeah. I'm okay, cool. Well, we're here now. And sometimes they've got questions. Sometimes we just shoot the shit. But we're trying hard. And so in 5 days, it'll be 1 year for me. And I will literally then have sent that message to everyone, at least once, plus the newsletters. And then keeping that going. And so my goal is to get into a rhythm where we're doing, at your anniversary and your half year. Yeah. That if you missed every other email, there's at least 2 times where I'm saying, hey, I'm here if you need anything. And the same thing happens in the East region for affiliates there. So we're trying to make ourselves accessible with, you've got my email. When I call somebody, I let them know this is my personal phone number. You can have it right now. It's 206-696-2345. It's pretty easy. I'm more than happy. I want to have the conversation. That's what we're here for. Yeah. To learn, to listen, to learn, and then hopefully take that back and then develop resources and tools to help people crush it.
I love that. I love it. And I'm so happy to see it because I think for many years people had been saying or kind of musing about what kind of support they really had about, it has, where am I going with this? The affiliate model has evolved so much throughout the years, and everything around the affiliate within the sport of CrossFit has evolved with it. And so I think that there are some people who are still stuck and unaware of the effort that you guys are putting in to change things.
Oh, 100%. At every event I go to, I'll talk about something that has changed and they'll have had no idea.
Right. Exactly.
No idea. And so we're trying. I mean, we're on all cylinders trying to get the messaging out about, what steps have been taken, what steps we are taking. So
exactly.
Bit by bit, we'll get them all.
Yeah. And because you're an OG, you've been, did you say 15 years your gym's been open?
September 10th, it'll be 15.
That's crazy. Has it always been a CrossFit gym?
Yep. Wow. I was a personal trainer, at a gym in Seattle, and a guy came in and at the gym, you got 2 free workout sessions. I'm like, oh, let me give you your free sessions. And he's like, I don't need it. And I'm like, it's free. He's like, I got a thing. And I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, you wouldn't understand. So he starts working out by himself, and he would bring a medicine ball with him and a set of rings with him. The old, I don't know if you guys remember the first version of Elite rings. They were metal, made by Tyler Haas, and the buckle. So on current rings, the buckle where you adjust the height, you can move it up and down. On these old ones, you couldn't move it. So you got a scar on the inside of your elbow right here. You're like, oh, you've been doing CrossFit long enough to do Elite rings. And he'd bring those in and do his own thing. And I'm blown away. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, CrossFit. And
oh my God, what are you doing?
And he's like, yeah. And so he's like, yo, dude, you can work out in 3 minutes. And I'm like, 3 minutes? That's impossible. He's like, no, bro, 3 minutes. So he writes down Fran for me, and I'm like, okay. And I lost it, but I remembered CrossFit.com. So I go to CrossFit.com, find a video of Greg Amundsen and Josh Everett doing Fran head to head.
Amazing.
And I had never seen bumpers before. So they had the big plates on. So I'm like, oh, that's the 45s. So I go into my gym. I put the 45s on. I do Fran at 135 with strict pull-ups.
No.
Almost die. I don't know, probably like 14, somewhere between 14 and 17 minutes. And I'm laying on the floor and I remember thinking like, things are different now. Like not just for me, like I am on a different path. It was clear to me that at that moment, I'm like, okay, this is something different. I get it. And my career is different. My life is different. This is going to change the world. So started doing .com. In fact, when I joined a gym, CrossFit Seattle was the first affiliate outside of Santa Cruz. Dave and Nancy Warner, love them. They were just so instrumental in CrossFit's growth in the Northwest and probably internationally. They were super powerful influencers in that way. And joined their gym. I would go into the gym in the morning and I would do bodybuilding stuff at like 5 a.m. Then at lunchtime, I would do CrossFit.com. And then I would go to the 5 p.m. class at a CrossFit gym where I would show up at 4:30, do one of the girls every day before class to warm up. I was like that freak, like just so ham on CrossFit.
Let's clarify. He meant one of the workouts. When you said you did one of the girls,
I'd bang one of the girls real quick. Just bang it out.
Yes.
Yes.
Bang it out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the workouts.
How long were you able to sustain that? Because if I did that 2 days in a row, I'd be dead.
It went on for a couple of months, and finally Dave got me to like calm down. He's like, it's too much. It's too much. And I'm like, I can handle it. And he finally got me to rein it in. And so what he started getting me to do, he's like, why don't you just practice harder stuff? Like if you can do so much, you're not doing hard stuff.
Yeah.
And so he was so committed to the methodology and like kind of Greg's founding, like the 100 words, took that very seriously.
Yeah.
And so he was like, advance your gymnastics. He's like, the muscle up is kid shit. In the world of gymnastics, the muscle up used to be, so the moves are rated A through E, I believe. And the muscle up was an A movement, super basic. And then after a couple of years, it wasn't even an A. It was just, so you don't get points for the muscle up anymore. Like CrossFitters like, oh, it's so amazing. But in gymnastics, when Tyler Haas produced the first ring training video, he brought Jordan Yovchev to Washington to shoot this video. And he told him to do a muscle up. And Jordan, a bronze medal Olympian, said, I don't know what that is. And Tyler's freaking out. He's like, did we get the wrong guy? Like, how are we going to make this video? I don't even know what a muscle up is. So Tyler's like, I'll show you. So he shows him. And Jordan's like, oh, you mean get on the rings? Like, that's not a thing. We don't have a name for that. That's just getting. He's like, you want me to just get on the rings? Yeah, I can do that all day.
Unreal. Probably with like no kip or anything.
Yeah, no, it was silly. And I remember watching the video. I had to order a DVD, like send him a check, order a DVD. That's where I got my first ring training video. And in the video, he's demonstrating false grip ring rows and he's talking while he's doing it. And everything he's talking while he's doing it. And I had not done a lot of these things. And I'm like, how hard can that be if he's talking? So then I go into my gym. I'm on my back, feet on a box, trying to do false grip ring rows. And I'm like, how is he fucking talking at the same time as this? Yeah, I think most of my first Buddy Lee, the first jump rope guy, I ordered his DVD. My first weightlifting video was on DVD.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Buddy Lee though. I love.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
for sure.
I ran into him at the games a couple of years ago, and I'm like, "Hey man, what happened?" And he's like, "Oh, and I'll tell you what happened." And he's like, "And I'm not happy about it." Coach comes up to me and he says, "Hey, you want to travel around the world, make a lot of money?" And at the same time, the Army says, "Hey, you want to travel around the world and teach jump rope?" And he's like, "Crazy guy from Santa Cruz, U.S. Army. Which one of these things is probably still going to be around in 10 years making me?" And he's like, at least once a week. I'm like, why? Why, buddy? Why did you do it that way?
Dude, I have a Buddy Lee story.
I love it.
The first rope I ever bought was a Buddy Lee. And I still recommend them to people because they're great ropes.
They are great.
Yes, they're excellent.
But I got reached out to, his name's Chris, and he did the jump rope course for CrossFit. I forget his last name, but he works with Buddy Lee now.
Yeah.
And he had reached out to me and we got to talking about maybe doing some work together. And he's like, well, let me just conference in Buddy. I'm like, who? And he's like, Buddy, I'm going to conference in Buddy. I'm like, Buddy Lee? And he's like, yeah. And within seconds, I'm on the phone with this guy. Like, and I love Buddy Lee. I didn't know. I was like speechless. I didn't know what to say.
He's so great. Like so high energy all the time. Good dude.
Yeah.
Still?
It was so weird though. Like it was like the exact same experience the first time I talked to Greg, where you go from like just having this normal afternoon to all of a sudden you're talking to somebody you never thought you would talk to.
Yeah.
You know, and same like kind of mystique about them and like brilliant at what they do. It was a weird moment for me.
You fangirl a little. You're like,
I did. The dude's a rock star.
Totally.
You know, it's like it was amazing. It was a real moment for me to get to meet Buddy Lee, at least over the
I feel you. I get the fangirl thing. When I saw him at the games, I'm walking with somebody and totally just veered off. And they were like, well, we were talking about something. I'm like, we were. Yeah. Buddy Lee's here now.
Can I tell a quick Matt fangirl story at Syndicate? He doesn't listen to this podcast, so it doesn't.
Which Matt are we talking about?
My Matt. Well, actually, both Matts, and that's what's funny. So we were walking in the underbelly of the Coliseum, and we were in the volunteer section. And Matt and I are talking and walking, and he's holding the baby, and like Sammy walks by, and O'Keefe walks by, and then Matt Fraser walks by, and he turns back and he's like, "Oh look, Matt Fraser and Matt Fraser." And I was like laughing. I'm like, "Oh, that's funny. You guys have like never been in the same room." And I look over at my husband, and he's just like, "Oh." And I was like, Matt, say something. And he was just like, "Ha."
Oh my God, that's the best.
And it was hilarious because and for the entire rest of the weekend, of course, we were just like chatting and passing each other by, and we like hung out in the airport all together, and it's so very normal. But it didn't really hit me until that moment that like the Matts had never met, even though I've obviously they know who each other are after all these years. And in that one moment, I've never seen Matt like freeze up. He's like, "Matt Fraser just talked to me and he knew my name and I don't know what's happening." Oh my God.
Well, Fraser's like Michael Jordan to some people.
I know. And it's not that he's not to me either. Don't get that wrong. You know what I mean? I absolutely appreciate him for all that he is, but just we've known him for so long that like when he walked by and he was like, "Hey," I was like, "Oh, hey, it's great to see you." I wasn't like,
yeah.
But it was my husband's first time meeting him, and so it was like, I don't know. It was a moment. He had a moment.
I love it. I hope he gets choked up next time he sees me. Thinking he's like, "Am I about to get assaulted right now?"
He's like blowing
his whistle over and over.
No, he's like waiting. He's like, is he gonna tell me I look nice? I've been really working out hard. I'm like, "Matt, why are you flexing? Relax."
I'm gonna get maced. He's like, "I'm married. Back up."
He's just worked so hard for another compliment. Like put extra cologne on. Did you smell me today?
I will smell you, Matt Fraser. Speaking of Matts, Fraser specifically, I've been pitching this idea. It's gotten very little traction, but this feels like the appropriate audience.
Oh, I'm so ready for this.
I feel like I'm all over this. Let's go.
All right. So, setting, interior, bureau, ring of lights. Matt Fraser sitting there putting on makeup.
Okay.
And voiceover, his voice, says, there's been a lot of talk about CrossFit's lack of inclusivity. And I'm here to be part of the change. We cut to O'Keefe, interview, lounge chair, saying, "I tried to talk him out of it. I think it's a terrible idea. I think this could ruin his career." Cut to Sammy. "I don't know what he's thinking. This is not going to work. But you know what? He hasn't been wrong yet. I trust this man." Cut to Shane. Cut to Tia. Everybody criticizing. Let's go to Marquez. Let's go to Woodland. Nobody's backing this up. And then they go back to Matt, adding more makeup. And he says, "I think the CrossFit Games needs a black champion."
Oh, no.
And then he starts to change the color of his makeup as he's darkening his skin.
No.
And he says, "I am going to be that champion. In 2023, I'm back. I'm black. This is how I identify." 2023 is the year of Black Fraser and the first black CrossFit Games champion. And then we have a whole documentary built around it. Black Fraser, 6-time champion. So I'm going to pause there.
Wait, he needs a theme song.
So it's going to be a remix.
Okay.
We're going to get either Don Diablo or who's the little Asian man? Steve Aoki.
I almost said something real inappropriate.
Were you going to say Mr. Miyagi?
I was going to say, no, keep going.
George Takei. Who were you going to say?
I was going to say Wilson.
Oh, yes. Well, also Wilson. But no, I'm talking DJs. So I'm thinking Steve Aoki, because Steve Aoki actually does CrossFit.
Absolutely.
So Steve Aoki remix of the Shaft theme song.
Oh no.
Yes, you want all of it. So I'm surprised I'm not getting a text from Austin right now being like, hey, you were doing so well on this interview.
Don't worry, Austin doesn't watch this show. I don't think anybody watches this show yet.
I didn't know this was like a live thing. And he texted me. He actually texted me like an hour ago, being like, "Oh, you're going live with John, huh?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Oh, I love it. I just hope when this commercial of yours goes live, or the show, whatever we want to call it, we just flash Blazer across the screen. I think that would be awesome. Blazer. How about Blazer?
Yeah, I'm on board. Awesome. Okay, so you guys get it. You see the vision.
Yeah. I see the vision. I think O'Keefe will be all in. He's all for this. I'll just speak for him.
I think the moment for me is I will be that champion.
I will be that champion.
Like, I will do that for you. You're welcome, everybody.
What gave me the thought was actually him talking about going undercover. He was at Wadapalooza a couple of years ago in the stands watching an event, and a judge is no-repping an athlete, an intermediate athlete, and the athlete is being an asshole.
Oh.
And Matt is getting irate about this guy being an asshole to his judge. Like, this guy's a volunteer. Starts videotaping. Comes out of the stands. Basically tells the athlete, shut the fuck up. Calls the head judge over and be like, hey, here's video that your judge was doing a good job. Can you imagine that intermediate athlete? Matt Fraser comes out of the stands to tell you that you are garbage and to stop being a child.
Stop being a dick.
But
maybe if you weren't such a dick, Matt Fraser wouldn't have to come down on you like that.
Yeah. So he goes undercover to local competitions, like hat, mustache, glasses, fat suit. And he goes undercover as Fat Mazer, the secret judge. Like undercover boss.
It's going to be like the time that Tyra put on the fat suit.
Yes.
Yep.
I love it. So he was talking about that with Armin, and I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh my gosh. And that gave me the idea for the Black Champion.
What could go wrong?
If he's going to go undercover, I got an undercover job for you.
Yeah, what could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Literally nothing. Literally nothing.
No, I think it'd be good for everyone.
Okay, so we've covered Matt Fraser in blackface. Let's just jump over. Let's just tie a bow on it with Ukraine and gun legislation and Supreme Court rulings.
That was the time, actually. I have very, very strong stances on all of those things. We don't have enough time in the show. There's not enough time. Start over, John. We need a new live stream.
I know. Well, I will say the one thing I've loved about for me this weekend, one thing I was reminded of, I was going to ask you about this because you're a 15-year affiliate, but it's helped me escape some of those things you're talking about. Like kind of the politics, like there's been obviously a lot of craziness lately, a lot of really tragic events. And I was in a 10-year affiliate on Memorial Day doing Murph.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about 10-year affiliates. I was telling this to Craig from Diablo CrossFit. They're like churches. Like there's just something different about a decade-old CrossFit. And I can't put my thumb on what is different, but they just feel different. What's your opinion? Like, why do they feel so different than a 2 or 3 year affiliate, which are great, by the way? Like the young affiliates are great too. I'm not slamming them, but the 10 years, just like there's something about them. Just I can't put my thumb on it.
I suspect that 10-year-old affiliates takes it back to 2012 and beyond. So if you're 10 plus years, 2012 and beyond, and at that point, CrossFit hadn't the fitness landscape hadn't completely transformed. It had wildly transformed at that point, but it hadn't completely transformed. And so what I mean by that, if you go to YouTube right now and type in back squat, you will get a million hits from everybody. I mean, just every company, every fitness, if somebody's trying to sell you something, this, that, and the other. But there was a point where the only place to, like I said, I had to order my first snatch video. Like if I wasn't looking at .com with a few videos they had, I had to go online, like that I learned in the CrossFit Journal. That was a PDF document that I printed out.
I remember that.
And where Greg's like, ordered the world class, that was called the world class coaching tapes. And there was one video on the snatch and one video on the clean and jerk. And so like things like that, like the efforts you had to go to refine your skill set and to find your people and to find the information, it created a different type And not that, like you said, new affiliates, great. I believe that whether you're 3 days old or 15 years old, you're doing important, meaningful, life-changing work. But there was something being in it 10 years ago where you had to scrape a little more and a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
The brand wasn't internationally recognized at the scale that it is now. Right? It was still a global brand at that point already. It had already gone around the world, but not in the, there's hundreds of affiliates in France and hundreds of affiliates, and thousands of affiliates in internationally. And that thing had an impact. When you went to a town, right now I can go to a town, there's a CrossFit gym in every town. Like that wasn't the case back then. There were fewer of us. We had to look harder for information. We had to look harder for each other. There was, and I think that created something, right? It's like people who, if you left Russia in a certain era, when you meet another Russian, you're like, oh, we went through something together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not just Russia, right? Anybody. If I left Kenya and at a certain point, if I emigrated here from Peru and I meet another Peruvian who emigrated around the time I did, right? Oh yeah, And I think there's something that they know that they've experienced. I know when I'm a level 4 CrossFit trainer. And when I took my level 3 exam, I looked at the study list and I was like, oh, so much reading. Okay, well, I better start. And I read the first article. And I'm like, I think I'm just going to take the test. And I took the test and passed on the first try. And the reason I think that is because I read all of those articles 5 times each. Because I read them when they came out. And when they came out, there was nothing else to read. And so now, if I want a book on weightlifting, there's 12 of them. There's probably 40 of them. But back then, there was 1. Right? And it was some nonsense translated from Russian. And if you wanted, if you wanted a book on exercise science, there was only a couple. Right? And so the stuff that Greg put out in the journal, we all read all of it multiple times. You just kept reading it until the next journal came out. And so it was deep seated in me. And I think in a lot of other people, and I would wager that a lot of folks who've been around that long have had a similar experience. I skimmed it, but then I just went and took it because I don't think there's not that many level 4 folks right now, and I would wager, I bet a lot of money that the majority of them, I just sat down and I took it because that stuff was in me. It's part of me now.
It just reminded me why we're all doing this, being in a 10-year affiliate and looking around, and I could see people that had been there and I used to belong to the gym years ago. Back 10 years ago, it's the first time I started, which is why I went back there for Murph. Mm-hmm. And so I saw people I've known for a decade, but then I saw people that had been there for 6 or 7 or 8 years, and you could just look at them and see that they are in a healthier space now than they were, and they're part of a community and they loved each other, and people weren't bickering about the length of ropes and kind of all the craziness that kind of goes on. They're kind of suffering together, and it was a true community. And it just occurred to me, it was we use this as an escape to get away from all this stuff, and how beautiful that was, and I don't know, it's really hard to put into words, but there's something about 10-year affiliates, man. Just really, really special places, and God bless those that have done this for that long, because it's a damn hard job. It's a damn hard job.
Yeah. I think part of the beauty of old affiliates is that we've been on the roller coaster and we've seen the change, right? So my first gym, and I know I've talked about this a million times, and I will continue to talk about it because it's one of the greatest affiliates in the entire country. It's called CrossFit Bangor in Bangor, Maine, which is a small town, a couple hours north of Portland. I guess it's a city. Anyone listening from there is going to be like, why would you call it a town? It's a city. It is. But I'm from Boston, so everything tiny feels like a town. And I just feel like when Mel, when she started the gym, it was like you're talking about, it was so important for her to get it right. And she studied, and form was everything. And to this day, I think those of us that started with her back in 2011 moved the best of anyone that I know in the sport, because that was all she cared about. She was not sending people to the games, and the roller coaster and the wave of emotion that come with it was all different. It was just form over everything, and fixing your life so that you can pick up all your groceries at once, so you can play with your kids when you're 60 years old, or so you can that was the point. And then we have all sort of been on this crazy ride together, and we have seen the yous who worked out 7 times a day, and we have seen the people who got really excited and came 7 days a week, and then we have forced them into getting more skill work in. We have forced them into taking their time. We have forced them into pulling back. And like, we've just like seen the wave of like, we all used to do stupid shit when we didn't know what we were doing. And now we know what we're doing. And now there's more reading material. And so we're studying more of it. And like, I don't know, it's like the arc of finding CrossFit, becoming obsessed with CrossFit, figuring it out, and then like leveling out. Like we've seen that happen so many times that we're also much more experienced and can balance it out better and can like put value on the places that matter, like community, like form, like the impact on your life, you know. Shout out to
I think I think that makes me think of something. You talk about Mel and like the consistency of delivering, just enforcing really quality movement and really high standards. I think that still exists though. I was just in Kansas City on my way to Knoxville. I was in Kansas City for 2 days, dropped into 9 gyms, worked out at 7 of them. And what I have found is everywhere. It's back squats, it's burpees.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's pull-ups.
Yep.
And whether I'm in it for 2 months, 2 years, or 12 years, like back to that word, that ethos exists across the spectrum of ages. I think some people remember some things, right? Like I would wager that some of the younger affiliates, because there is so much information coming in now, that I can be, it's like almost a paradox of choice. Well, what should I study? What should I look at?
Totally.
I don't need to go for my level 2 because I can go take my precision nutrition, this other thing. But there's like some stuff down the, I mean, I couldn't wait to take the next seminar. And I don't know this to be a fact, but I would wager that some older affiliates and some older trainers pursued more of the CrossFit specific education to keep going further and further down that rabbit hole. Which then kind of continued to reinforce that ethos and that commitment to excellence in movement and standards and programming. But I don't think I think it's still there for everybody.
Oh, for sure.
Right? EDU is still putting out those courses and that content so anybody can get it. So you can get, Ingram just put out that OG shirt and he talked about it's a gosh, how did he describe it? That it's a spirit or a vibe. It's not about years. It's about belief. It's about commitment. And I think that's true, that it's a commitment to the founding principles, whether it be those 100 words or the models of CrossFit, like all that stuff in the level 1 that still rings so true.
Yeah. Oh shit. Maybe I should just go take the L3 exam then.
I think you should. I think everybody should pursue it. I think there's something getting through it. I think getting through it is as much about a reminder and a commitment to the deep knowledge and ethos of CrossFit as it is about the credential.
Yeah.
If it takes you months to study for it, or if you're ready for it right now, as you go through the process, whether it be the study or just the taking of it, you cannot avoid being reminded of even things that you forget. Like, I forgot how meaningful some of this stuff was.
Totally.
Because you're literally thinking about the multiple choice questions. You're like, yep, I'm totally bought. Like, I'm rebought in.
Yep.
I have test anxiety and I'm excited about the opportunity that I have being in this space with people who believe these things that I believe. That's crazy.
It's wild. It's nerding. Like, I tell everyone that they should go for the L1 because it's just nerding out on CrossFit for like 2-3 days straight. That's all it is. Like,
it's
like
my L1. Did I tell you this?
Did I get my L1? Ago, right?
I'm going to. I was looking up tonight when the next class is, so I can sign up.
Rock on.
Hell yeah. My L2 is expiring, which is why I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I was trying to figure out which chapter is putting Matt Frazier in blackface, but I haven't gotten to that part yet.
That's not until you're level 4.
That's level 4? Okay. No, actually, this is kind of feedback. Like, it hadn't occurred to me, and I'm going to go to an actual course, like go to the live course, but I was watching semis, and there was like this little commercial that came on that said, hey, you can take your level 1 online. And I'm like, since when? They're always in person, And so I go and look it up. And
COVID changed
it started during COVID.
Yeah. But it didn't, like, I'm deeply rooted in CrossFit and I had no idea. And so I'm sitting there thinking, man, this is like a real, I think, again, just feedback. If Austin's listening, or Paul, I want to call Paul's number, text him, that like the semis and the games are such an opportunity for eyes on the prize for that advertising space. And that was like really valuable advertising space. Like, I learned something and I feel, I know everything. Right. So I just, I think from the affiliate standpoint, you guys are trying to reach out to so many people. What a great opportunity to do just that. Like take some of that advertising time and punch it in, even if it is just, hey, did you know you can take these courses? I just thought it was a really cool thing that it was out there, and I learned something, and now I'm like kind of fired up to go sign up for a real course and take it in person. And
that's fun, John.
fail it the first time.
I'm stoked to hear you're doing your level 1. So the online level 1 is a thing. Started during COVID, and it helped a lot of people during COVID when people couldn't travel. But then it turned out there's a lot of people who, even outside of COVID, right? You might live in some small town and you got 3 kids, and so you need something that's more accessible. So it ended up serving a really broad spectrum of the population, and so it's not going anywhere. But I highly recommend, if you can do in-person's magic.
I agree.
In-person is pure magic. But to your point, I was chatting at the offsite with some of the production team for the games, like broadcasting stuff, and they've got big goals. And they're like, look, man, the bigger, and it's not just about communicating with CrossFit, we're communicating with everybody. The bigger and bigger we can make this presentation, the more eyeballs are on it. And then we get to tell these little stories. Even if it is that little announcement, hey, there's an online level 1. Well, the bigger the stage is, the more people get that message. And CrossFit changes lives. And this gal's 80 and she does it. And this guy's 46 and he is pre-diabetic and he does it. And this kid's 14 and he lost 25 pounds because he turned out he was an overweight teenager. And he's doing it. And so those stories are part of what makes this thing so amazing. And the mission of the games in terms of a tool to serve the affiliate community is just to elevate the stage, to get more eyeball.
My favorite assignment that I've ever had over all the years that I've worked in CrossFit broadcasting was when I did CrossFit Games Part 1 in 2020. It was 2020. Yeah, it was during COVID at the ranch. That was 2020.
That was Part 2.
No, Part 1 was also at the ranch because Part 1 was online for the athletes, but we had a live show from Aromas.
Oh, I was not at the ranch. I was in Vancouver, Washington, judging Justin.
Yeah. That was important. That was very important. But no, we were at the ranch and I anchored at the desk pre-show. Yeah. So yeah, and that was my all-time favorite assignment of anything that I've ever done at CrossFit because my pre-show was all community stories. It was like me talking to people from all over the world where like there was a woman who lost a whole bunch of weight and felt better and like lightened her depression. There were adaptive athletes. There was a guy who was in the military who became an adaptive athlete and thought his life was over. And then it was just like all these stories. And it was the best thing that I've ever done in terms of like, I don't know, just telling athlete stories. Like usually my athlete stories are like, that was a really hard workout. How do you feel? And it was time. We had time to tell longer, better stories. And it was just magical. I loved everything about that broadcast. That was my favorite thing that I've done so far.
Yeah. And there's folks working on more of that, right? Like let's make the stage as big as possible. Let's tell the most powerful stories we can possibly tell.
If you have another offsite that you want another broadcast person, you just let me know. I know sometimes you guys do offsites in like tropical islands. I'll go to that one.
I have never been to a tropical island offsite. So if you get to get invited to a tropical island offsite, I want to participate in that one.
Call. I'm down. I'll come wherever. I'll bring a really cute baby. Okay. Matt looks great in swim trunks. We'll be there.
How about this? How about John's really itching to see your baby. I'm really itching to see your husband.
Let's go.
So why don't we all just go, we'll record another episode and just, it's 1 hour episode, 48 hours beach time. Everybody wins. John gets to hold your beautiful baby.
Party time.
Let's do it. Live from wherever there's a beach. Sign me up. We have beautiful beaches here in Rhode Island. Also,
no, you don't.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, we do.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm calling in from San Diego, right?
Oh, yeah. You actually have warm water, don't you? Yeah.
No, the water's not warm. Just the beaches are pretty.
Yeah, well, it's warmer than it is here.
That's fair. Probably is much warmer than it is.
But have either of you seen the majesty of Lake Erie? I mean, come on. Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, try to top that. Mic drop. I mean.
Oh, no.
It's so wrong. Well, Justin, thanks. Dude, I'm so glad we finally got together. And,
did you say it, Nikki, or do you want me to say it?
What?
You just called me Justin. This was going so well.
Oh, did I? I thought I said Jordan. Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Jazz.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Justin. See you next time, everyone.
No, like I'm so glad you're able to get on. This, it feels like it was too long in between when we saw each other in Columbus and getting on here. But I do think it's important for people to really start hearing from, um, people in the field, like doing the hard work and hearing what's really going on. Like there are so many voices, complaining about real things. Like I'm not trying to discount what anyone's
100%.
about,
And I'm here for the conversation, right? Like not just here talking to you, but anywhere we go, come find me, come talk to me. And like, I threw my number out there. Give me a call, shoot me a text.
Well, and I appreciate that. And I think that's, that we just need to continue to have more conversations like this. I just think it's great for the community and great for people to hear what's going on and understand what everyone's working on. Because I think at the end of the day, we're all working toward the same goal, which is to be healthier and happier. And that's it. It's not much harder than that, to be honest.
I agree. Happier, healthier humans, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before we sign off, and I know you said it's going to take too long, but we're going to do it rapid fire style. Nikki, what is your feelings about the situation in Ukraine, and what kind of resolution are you looking for?
Well, so my family is from this, like, honest answer. My family is from Ukraine. Technically Ukraine. I guess my family's from a country that no longer exists anymore because the former Soviet Union is not a thing. But they came to this country about 42 years ago. So, ties run deep. And it's really difficult for me to just see and hear of, like, no one wins. That's really where I'm getting to. That's my honest answer. It's like nobody wins. There's no good guys and bad guys. There's just like politicians who are ruining this for everyone. And that's shitty. So no matter what side you're on, everybody loses, and that sucks. So just like an end to this stupid unnecessary war is what I need. That's what I need.
Right on. I'm with you on that. And then pivoting really fast, let's talk about this Roe v. Wade situation. We got what looks like a change in this legislation. What are your feelings on that situation?
My feelings are, you want to lose like 500 followers in a day, post that you want basic human rights for women on your Instagram. That's what I learned from this situation.
Okay. Like that like literally happened to you. You said, I want basic human rights for women. And people were like, fuck that noise.
Yeah. I was like, how about some like autonomy over my own fucking body? And everyone was like, peace out, bitch. And I was like, you probably never should have been here to begin with.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I will die on that hill, 100%. There are two hills.
It's crazy that it's a hill to argue about, right?
I know, it's insane. But there are two hills I will die on, and I don't care if I piss anyone off with either one of these. One is like, don't tell me what to do with my fucking body. Women's rights and women's rights to healthcare abortion is part of health services and nothing else. And two is same-sex marriage. I will die on both of those hills forever.
I heard an interesting conversation about it, listening to some constitutional review lawyers, one from Yale, one from Harvard, making a case for why they stand by rights for women, but that it shouldn't be a judicial decision, it should be a legislative decision, and therefore, Roe v. Wade being unconstitutional. But then somebody made a counter argument to it, talking about forced labor, and that you cannot force somebody to labor, and pregnancy is a form of labor. And if I force you to carry, that is forced labor. And if you don't then offset the cost of that experience, then not only are you forcing me to labor, I'm not even being fairly compensated for my labor. And then if you really value human life, then you should make this up, even if there's just this thing. Let's not even get into universal healthcare, but just this thing, right? It shouldn't really cost me money, since it is a life-saving and community-serving practice if I do end up having to have a child at the behest of another individual.
Absolutely.
And we would argue is taking away rights in the first place.
Yes. Anyway. I mean, you can make that argument all the way down the line through childcare, through maternity, paternity leave, through all that. You can keep making that argument through education and, free education and like all that stuff. You can make that argument for the rest of the life. Like when are you going to stop giving a shit about that life? When? Yeah,
absolutely. And then our last thing, what would you do in terms of gun legislation?
That's a tough one, because I live and die by the Constitution, right? I spent so long as a journalist, and I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in the things that are written in our Constitution, but I believe that it's elastic for a reason, and people seem to forget that.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is they like wrote this and they were like, and like, make it work for you. And like, no one seems to remember that. I just think that, man, there's a level of weaponry that we don't need in the home, and that I honestly don't have a problem with all guns. I think that it's okay in a way, but I think that we need to have more. I need to have more control over who can get their hands on these.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm super pro gun. I've got 3 in my house. I've got one that's open in Washington.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them. I have them in my house. They're not mine. They're my husband's, and I don't really feel very comfortable around them because I've never been trained on them. But I don't really have a problem with them. I just have a problem with the free reign. You know?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind if it was like incredibly difficult to get.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. And like I know that people like accessorize, like people dress up their guns like Barbies. Like it's like a whole friggin' hobby, and I get that. I truly don't have a problem with it.
Who dresses their guns up like Barbies?
No, I'm serious. Like when you have people, and I almost said dudes, but I guess it could be anyone. But when you have people who are like, here's like the green clip, and then here's like the pink one,
No, I got you.
Whatever. Like and that's fine if it's your hobby. I don't really care. But like, do you need like a bazooka under your bed? Number one, and also like,
all right, firing a bazooka would be awesome.
I was gonna say the answer is yes.
I mean, I do.
If I could have a bazooka, I would have a bazooka.
No guns, just bazookas for everybody.
Yeah.
In fairness, I'm not well educated enough on the subject to say one way or another. Like I know that like the number of rounds is kind of like in question that you should be able to have, or that your gun can fire all in one moment. Like I'm not saying it right because I don't know enough about it. But all I can say is like the things that can cause massacres, I don't think that we need them in our homes. I just don't.
And then final question, and this one, like, I'm not trying to be polarizing, but it may come off that way. Is a hamburger a sandwich?
That's a great question. And my answer is yes, it is a sandwich.
Yes. I'm in sandwich camp too.
But I think it's like a rectangle square situation. I think that a hamburger is a type of sandwich, but a sandwich is not always a hamburger. Boom.
All right. Well, I think
I've sufficiently pissed off enough people on this podcast.
I appreciate that he asked all the questions to you and just left me out of it altogether, so I can just feign ignorance on all of it.
No,
You're
I just
losing followers tonight.
Now we're moving to you. Okay. So John, as a cisgender hetero white male of
very handsome, by the way,
of reasonable affluence based on number of guitars I see behind you.
I know.
What are you doing to create opportunities for women and minorities in the CrossFit? No, I'm just kidding.
Literally nothing in the CrossFit space, but a lot in the actual business space, for whatever that's worth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I only hire Black and Latino women ages 22 to 26.
No, but I can start spouting statistic at you, but I have about 80 employees that work for me. I can tell you because I recently ran some numbers because I had to go to, we do meetings all the time and we're bankers. So we're always running statistics. About 70% of my workforce would self-identify as diverse. 50% of my leadership team and leading management positions are female. Whoop. And 60% of that team would identify as diverse. And those are all hired by me. And for the record, that wasn't like I didn't sit out to go, all right, I'm going to hire women and diverse candidates. You just hire the best person for the job, but you interview enough candidates to make sure you've got a diverse slate to pick from. And I picked the best people. And by the way, they're all really damn good at their jobs. Every one of them. And I'm really proud of that. Not because I'm special, but because I have a great team, But you got to do that. It's important.
I dig it. What is your LSIT time?
My what? LSIT time?
Yeah, you're training your LSIT, right? You do CrossFit. So when you're constantly varied, I know you're training your LSIT.
No, I'm 51 years old. I'm not training my LSIT. Who are you talking to? Come on.
Oh, I bet you could crush an LSIT, John. You have abs now.
What about max consecutive triple unders?
Oh, triple unders? I can't do triple. I can do a shit ton of double unders.
Yeah, we're moving on. This is the era of the triple under.
Oh, I can't do
the era of the triple under? Oh my God, I didn't know. No one sent me the memo.
No, I'm announcing it right now.
Oh.
We're coming into the season of New Fraser and the triple under.
Blazer and the triple under.
Yeah, I can't. I've never even attempted a triple under. I'm real good at dubs though.
Rock on.
I'll try it. Can you do backwards dubs?
No.
I can. I don't as a regular practice.
Oh. They're cool. They're cool to watch.
I want to come to San Diego and fire guns with Jordan now though.
Oh, please do. I love we got a guest room. I got this. I'm in my backyard right now. Check out this home gym I got behind me.
Wait, this is your home gym?
Yeah.
This whole time I thought you were podcasting at your affiliate. You have a rock wall in your home gym?
Yeah, we got to make it fun for the kids.
Oh my
Look at
God.
that.
We're moving in with you guys.
Yeah,
No, we built this. When we moved in here a year ago, we built this structure in the backyard. Yeah. So it's taken a while because it costs way too much. Mostly because of all the stuff in here, but
I could have a rock wall if I didn't have a guitar addiction. That's my problem.
I have a dopest home gym on earth addiction, and like it's way too much for like a couple people working out at home.
Right, because don't you still go to your affiliate that you also have?
No, my affiliate's in Seattle.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I got a manager who is awesome and like just legit incredible. And yeah, he stepped in about 18 months ago, and so worked. He's like a partial owner now.
Cool.
And taking fantastic care of the people there. Like, I mean, just taking absolutely wonderful care of them.
Okay, so then you need this sick home gym. That's totally justified.
I do. Every once in a while, I get lonely. And so I started going. So once a week, I go to a boxing gym.
Cool.
And then I try to get over to, and I don't do it enough. But like Invictus is like 2 miles away.
Yeah.
And they are fat. In fact, when I first moved to San Diego, I went in there and they're so nice. I went in there I wanted to go to open gym. I showed up 10 minutes late for class on purpose so that I couldn't possibly have to take the class because we had just moved in. I'm like, I was unpacking all day. I want to go work out in the corner. And I walk in and fucking Karen Martin is at the front desk. And I mean, she's just like a ball of sunshine. I mean, just like grabs me immediately. And then CJ had me teaching a class. CJ, you got time for Jordan. You got space for Jordan, right? And then makes me take this class. And people are introducing themselves. The number of members that were like, are you going to join? I'm like, do you work here? And they're like, no, I just love it. You should totally become a member. Like the community that kid has built is incredible. So every once in a while, I'll hop in there. But yeah, I'm such a homebody now. Like I work from here, I work out here. So Chris and I come out here, and I find it very difficult to leave the house these days, even though I should.
That's fair.
And he's got a real microphone down there, which is unusual for a guest on a podcast.
You know, I take my audio seriously. I started doing some content creation and recording I do some affiliate interviews that I, at some point want to share with other affiliates. And so that's what it's for. So I got all the things. I got the lights here so like you can just really see, there's my nice milk chocolatey brown.
Love it.
Sometimes we go for a more it's like artistic look.
That's like studio lighting. I like it.
I feel the need to compete now with the studio lighting. And,
look at this guy setting the mood.
Okay, fancy. Y'all, I'm just trying to make it so you can't see all the dirty laundry on the bed.
Yeah, that's always Nikki's goal. Just use the fake background so nobody can tell what the hell's going on behind her. Which because
when I've never had a home office before, so when COVID happened, I was like, all right, cool. I guess the spare bedroom is my new computer room. But that's where all the clothes go when they aren't folded for 2 weeks. That's where they live. So
we have it's usually just towels and bedding on our guest bed, like just piles of it.
Yep.
I refuse to let the clothes migrate to another part of the house. But I know it's a common thing. The number of houses I've been in where the guest room is just an extra closet.
Yep. I'm so bad. I have no time. I have no time to put laundry away. I feel you. I don't know. And my husband, God bless him, he does all of the laundry, all of it. I haven't run our washing machine in 2 years. Because 2 years ago, I started my own company. And ever since then, it has been it's just all work all day and all night. And he likes to say that he's watering his investment, quote unquote.
Yes.
So the plan is have more kids and he can just be stay-at-home dad. And then I'll keep growing this company. So he's like, I'll just do all the laundry. I'll just do all the dishes. And then eventually he'll fold the clothes, but they'll still live on the bed because he doesn't know where to go. So if I just leave them there, they'll get done. Truly.
Oh, no. Here, my clothes. So I got 3 ladies in the house, 2 daughters and a partner, and nobody likes to put clothes away but me.
Oh, yeah.
But I want my clothes away.
I know. Yeah, I know. I want them away, but not more than I want to get to all my emails today,
No, I feel you. In fact, a term I heard on this show that I was delighted by, and offended by it. It was floordrobe.
That's me. That's my this whole room is my floordrobe. Yeah, it's bad.
So loved it conceptually, but I'm like, oh, that makes me like the thought of it. I'm like,
yeah, you're the mat. You're the mat.
I love
Do
that the
dishes in the sink bother you too?
Does what?
Dishes in the sink?
Like there's a limit, like there's a line. I'm like, I can take it to a certain point and then it has to be addressed. But I find that there are certain things. So Kristen, my partner, I haven't cleaned the bathroom in a year. She crushes that. And I'm super grateful. I've run the washing machine maybe once a month.
Yeah.
But it gets run a lot.
Yeah.
As anybody with fitness outfits knows.
Yeah. Oh my God. Ain't that
so
the
much
truth?
laundry.
Good
Between
Lord.
fitness and children, so much laundry. So
There's there's fitness and babies. Holy shit.
So she's laundry, like bathrooms, vacuuming, all the stuff. And so grateful for it. So I can't really like complain too much about there being clothes on the floor. But a clean kitchen gets me more action from her. Because if there's a thing, she could be coming out to tell me like, hey, you want some of this? And see the dirty kitchen. And that like derails the whole situation.
Yeah.
So that is a very strong motivator to do dishes.
See, I could just live like a 14-year-old boy. Like, is this clean? It's been in the hamper for 2 weeks. Is this the clean hamper or the dirty hamper? I don't know. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. It's bad. It's real. I don't know why I'm so like messy. And I clean it up for Matt because he's like anal about that kind of thing. But it's just amazing that if, the longer I leave the laundry on the bed, eventually it'll get made. And the more dishes I leave in the sink, they get done. So yeah.
Have you seen that YouTube video about the magic table?
I think I know what you're talking about. That's like me. Yeah. But in fairness, like I am messy, but in fairness, it's because I'm also very busy. That's true.
No, I totally understand it. I just have, and she is so she just finished her first year of law school. Yeah. And so like, she gets a lot of grace during the year, but like, I'm like, your summer work is not that complicated.
Yeah, totally. I get that.
But during the year, she has almost nothing for anybody else.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what my favorite new thing is, Nikki? People will remember terms from the show like floordrobe. And I don't remember you ever saying that. And people will like start tagging us in like quotes that we said on the show. And I'm like, I don't remember that shit at all. I don't remember any of it.
What was the one that was like sack tap, but it wasn't? It was clam slam.
Clam slam. That one I remember.
It was like such a big thing. And we like almost made shirts that said clam slam. Who are we?
Clam slam? Is that like sex or punching somebody?
No, it's like when you like...
If a guy gets hit in the balls, it's the same thing for women, but it's called a clam slam.
Oh, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, this woman she's from my hometown sent me a video of a box jump. I used it in a meme, and she had the box turned at angles so her feet are jumping on the corner.
Yeah.
So what's about to happen.
Absolutely.
And she misses and clam slam, and she hit hard, bro. Like she hit so hard. I felt so bad but it was so funny. It really was.
It's permanently damaged clitoris.
It's like one of those moments where you're just like, oh, sweetheart, no, but I got to post this because it's the best video I've ever seen. And that was the caption. It was like clam slams for time or something. Something like that. And we talked about it on the podcast. And next thing you know, man, like
the number of clam slams.
We got so many DMs and emails and everything about clam slam.
Right. And then it like opened up this whole huge thing where like I remember for like weeks we were going on Urban Dictionary and just like reading all the different terminology that there is for vagina, and there was, man, I'll never forget. It was just like nights and nights of like belly laughs where I was like meat wallet, who even came up with that? Like
so good. Yeah, Urban Dictionary is a great place like review with friends for like,
oh my god,
good laughs.
Years in. Yeah.
That's an entirely different episode.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, this has been fun. I didn't expect the last 15 minutes of controversy, but
you should put a trigger warning on the beginning of this episode.
I know. Fortunately, I stayed out of the fray, so I should be good. I
make no apologies for my beliefs. None.
I'm with you. Yeah. Plant your flag.
Everyone seems to think they know how I believe on all these issues. They'd be very surprised on most of them.
That's true. That is very true.
My mom was here for the last few days, and my daughter was graduating, and they're from the deep South, And so we had a lot of talk about gun control and guns and, all that stuff. It was really kind of interesting as you have to, and I'm not going to get into all that, but it's interesting as you start to explore your feelings after things have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And I think that's, kind of tying us all together. I think that's something I've always loved about CrossFit is it forces you to expose your weaknesses and like really start to question why you do things. Like now I'm sitting here going, why am I not doing triple unders? Like what the fuck? Like, only because you said it, and why am I not working on L sets? I work on a lot of shit. I work out 6 days a week. Like I work hard, and now I'm sitting there going, I'm missing some stuff, and I think that's the thing I love about it. And, I think it's important to challenge yourself. And so I appreciate that's, what you guys are, I think you're continuing to do at the affiliate level is, push us to continue to grow and do different things. And the fact that you guys are willing to listen to a lot of us that are still holding on to the past is equally important. So thanks for what you guys are doing, man. It's good work.
No, just, a lot of good folks trying to carry this torch, and there's a lot of good stuff in the past, right? I mean,
yeah,
foundational stuff. I've got the 100 Words of Fitness, like as a sticky note on my desktop. And just to remind me, like it stays in the top corner. I can see it every single day. Cause I think there's important stuff. And it's just a little reminder to me that the start of this thing carried 90% of what we're still doing today. We've learned a lot, right? We've had that old term, like the black box, right? We don't know why thrusters and pull-ups produce the result. Well, yeah, now we know what's happening on the cellular level, but still, we're still just doing thrusters and pull-ups, right? It hasn't elevated past that thing because what was put in motion was really, really fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, in the guitar world, for all my guitars, people often talk about Fender Telecaster. Like when Leo Fender created it, he got it right on the very first try. Yeah. They've never improved this guitar in 100 years. It's the exact same guitar now as it was when he created it, and, little tweaks here and there, but for the most part, it's identical. And they've never had to change it because it's perfect. And I feel that way about CrossFit. Like, say what you want about Greg and his complexity. That dude got that shit right. He got it right early on. And there's been so many smart people coming on, layering onto it, continuing to get it right. I just think it's such a really cool space for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I love that you guys are serving it so effectively. Like I genuinely do. I think you guys have a heart for every aspect of this community, and it resonates in the content that you put out. And so I'm super grateful that you let me be a part of it. Yeah. So thank you.
Think how powerful I'm going to be when I get my level 1.
Wow.
I know.
Watch out, world.
Unstoppable.
Basically, first step, level 1, next stop, seminar staff. And then the CEO hunt for CrossFit will be complete. Look at here. He's got his L1 now. Well, I guess we're done looking.
Look.
He is a guy with glasses. Who's
I
throwing that out
look
there,
like Eric now. I don't know why they don't give me the job. Come on. Like, bitch stole my look. We said that from the very beginning. Maybe that was the problem. I don't know.
Although I'm really excited about the interim CEO, Allison. Like, I think she is so smart and so talented. 10 years of legit CrossFit experience, like at Park City, right? You like, who better to study under than Chris Spieler to get your CrossFit education? Yeah. And Eric O'Connor. Yeah, she's the real deal. Like I said, Gary earlier was early real deal. So is Allison. Like we got some incredible people steering the ship.
Well, we need to get her on the show. Somebody get her on the show.
Fun. Yes. Great. Yeah, her resume is just insane. So insane.
Yeah, she's awesome. I highly recommend you get on the show. All right, I will stop derailing your efforts to wrap this up, John. I will let you.
All right, thanks, dude. And Nikki, get some rest, man. You're tired. I can tell. So get some rest. Give that baby a kiss for me. For everyone listening, appreciate you guys joining us this evening, and we will chat with you guys soon.